as the massive, heavy concrete overpasses and the deafening commercial roar of the interstate corridor slowly fade into the background. The view out the windshield shifts drastically. We are rolling along the two-lane pavement of Lynn Road, transitioning onto the northbound lanes, heading directly into the historic heart of Portage County. The landscape immediately outside the glass begins to soften. The sprawling, flat-roofed big-box stores and the massive illuminated signs give way to dense patches of green, mature oak trees and the quiet, steady rhythm of the American Midwest. We have an 11-minute journey ahead of us, traveling up South Prospect Street and turning east onto State Route 59, diving deep into a city that hides a massive, globally impactful industrial legacy right beneath its quiet brick streets. Look at the heavy tree canopy shading the edges of the road as we push north. 2 centuries ago, this entire area was a massive, untamed, and deeply intimidating wilderness, completely isolated from the comforts of the East Coast. In the year 1799, a man named Benjamin Tappan traveled into this dark, ancient forest to claim a massive tract of land. He became the very first permanent settler in this valley. When he arrived, there were no roads, no clearings, and absolutely no safety nets. He built a crude, rough-hewn log cabin just to survive the freezing, brutal elements of the Ohio winter, relying entirely on the local indigenous tribes to teach him how to navigate the freezing rivers and find food in the snow. The silence of the forest back then was absolute, broken only by the wind and the howling of wolves. But the entire trajectory of this patch of woods changed a year later, when Tappan returned from Connecticut with his new wife, Nancy Wright. It was Nancy who looked out at the dense, muddy frontier and envisioned a thriving, sophisticated metropolis. She did not want a rough, temporary outpost in the mud. She suggested naming their new settlement after the beautiful, historic city of Ravenna in Italy. She was fiercely ambitious for this little settlement in the wilderness. When political lines were being drawn up to create the brand new Portage County in 1806, Nancy pushed incredibly hard for Ravenna to be the absolute center of the new government. Her tireless, relentless political maneuvering paid off, and Ravenna was officially named the county seat, guaranteeing its survival and sparking a massive influx of lawyers, merchants, and tradesmen who needed to be near the courts. As the road becomes South Prospect Street, the residential neighborhoods rise up on both sides of the glass. Look closely at the architecture passing by. You will see beautiful, sprawling 19th century homes with deep, heavy-cut stone foundations, intricate wooden trim, and wide, sweeping front porches perfectly designed for hot Midwestern summers. Notice the tall, narrow windows of the Italianate style and the complex rooflines of the Queen Anne Victorians. If you look past the main houses, you can sometimes still spot the massive original carriage houses sitting quietly in the backyards. These homes were built by the massive wealth that flooded into this town during the late 1800s. Ravenna did not just stay a sleepy, quiet political and agricultural hub. It absolutely exploded into a manufacturing and industrial powerhouse. In the 1830s, the Clark Carriage Company opened its massive wooden doors right here in this town. They did not just build basic functional farm wagons for hauling hay and moving dirt. They specialized in highly ornate, incredibly expensive, meticulously crafted wooden hearses. That business was later bought out and renamed the Riddle Coach and Hearse Company. Their craftsmanship was absolutely unparalleled. They utilized hand-carved imported woods, deep layers of hand-rubbed lacquers, pure gold leaf detailing, heavy velvet curtains, and brilliant silver-plated lamps. They were so world-renowned that when the era of the horse began to fade, the motorized hearses built right here in Ravenna were used for the state funerals of 2 United States presidents, William McKinley and Warren G. Harding. The town you are looking at was a city of absolute master artisans, crafting the vehicles that carried the most powerful men in the country to their final resting places. But the carriage and hearse industry was just the beginning of the boom. If you look out at the modern storefronts and the quiet intersections we are passing, you have to imagine the sheer, deafening volume of the industrial era that once completely dominated this skyline. In 1877, a massive processing mill was established right here in Ravenna to handle the endless tons of grain harvested from the surrounding Portage County fields. If you have ever sat at your kitchen table and eaten a hot bowl of oatmeal on a freezing winter morning, you have a direct, personal connection to the town outside your window. The Quaker Oats Company was born right here, and that iconic, world-famous Quaker logo that you see on grocery store shelves across the entire globe was officially patented in this city. The massive, steam-powered mills would fill this entire valley with the warm, heavy scent of roasted oats, processing the food that fueled the working class of the entire nation. The heavy, rhythmic chugging of the massive steam trains rolling into the city to load up boxcars full of oats was a constant, grisly reality for the people living in those beautiful Victorian homes. As we continue up Prospect Street, approaching the denser, brick-lined downtown core, picture this city around the turn of the 20th century. Ravenna was the undisputed cast-iron toy capital of the world. In the 1920s, the A.C. Williams Company, headquartered right here in this grid, was the absolute largest manufacturer of cast-iron toys on the planet. They operated massive, blazing, terrifyingly hot foundries. Men worked in blistering heat, pouring liquid iron into heavy sand molds to turn out millions of tiny, heavy toy cars, mechanical banks, and miniature horse-drawn wagons. Once the iron cooled, rooms full of women would meticulously hand-paint the tiny, intricate details onto the metal. The juxtaposition is incredible to think about. Thousands of people worked grueling, highly dangerous, back-breaking shifts in the blistering heat of the blast furnaces, just to create the tiny, painted toys that ended up wrapped under Christmas trees for children all over the world. We are entering the absolute center of town now. The view out the windshield is completely dominated by historic, multi-story brick architecture. As the road meets East Main Street, which is also State Route 59, we are following the pavement eastward. You are looking at the East Main Street Historic District. Right near the center of this grid sits the Portage County Courthouse. This specific piece of earth has been the absolute center of law and order for this region for over 200 years. The town was laid out in a classic Western Reserve grid, with the public square placed squarely in the center to serve as the gathering place for the community. The original, rough-hewn log courthouse and jail were built way back in 1810, representing the very first desperate attempts to bring civilized law to the wild frontier. That crude structure was eventually replaced by a heavy brick and stone building, and finally replaced by the massive, modern courthouse architecture that stands today. As we travel east on Route 59, we are slowly leaving the dense, pedestrian-heavy historic downtown behind us. State Route 59 is a massive, vital east-west artery that connects the heavy industrial weight of Akron all the way out through Cuyahoga Falls, Kent, and right here through the heart of Ravenna. Watch as the historic, tightly packed brick storefronts begin to thin out. The sky opens up wider, the setbacks become deeper, and the landscape transitions into a much more open, modern commercial corridor on the eastern edge of the city. We are passing through an area historically known as Cotton Corners, moving steadily toward the open space of the township. While you look out at the changing landscape of East Main Street, passing the modern local businesses, the auto repair shops, and the wide swaths of green grass, it is impossible to talk about the history of this city without acknowledging the sheer, massive, almost incomprehensible scale of its contribution to the Second World War. Just outside the city limits, hidden out of view from this specific highway, sat the legendary Ravenna Arsenal. During the absolute darkest, most desperate days of the war, the federal government transformed the quiet farmland east of Ravenna into the largest munitions production facility in the entire United States. The government came in and quietly bought out dozens of family farms, completely reshaping the map. It became a sprawling, highly secretive, and heavily guarded military compound covering more than 21,000 acres of land. It contained a staggering 1,371 buildings, massive concrete bunkers built deep into the earth to contain accidental explosions, and miles of internal railroad tracks hidden beneath the tree canopy. The quiet county seat you just drove through was completely transformed by the war effort. Over 14,000 Ohioans, both men and women, flooded into this area to work. They worked grueling, highly dangerous, around-the-clock shifts. The women who worked there became known as women ordnance workers, handling massive quantities of highly volatile explosives. They carefully packed the heavy artillery shells, poured the explosive compounds into the massive aircraft bombs, and built the munitions that directly fueled the Allied war effort across the battlefields of Europe and the Pacific. The work was incredibly tense, knowing that a single spark could cause a massive catastrophe. Under the cover of darkness, Endless miles of heavily loaded freight trains would roll out of the arsenal, carrying the destructive weight of the American military. The people of Ravenna literally built the arsenal of democracy with their bare hands. After the war was won, the massive facility transitioned to fertilizer production in peacetime, and then briefly resumed heavy munitions manufacturing to support the troops during the Korean and Vietnam Wars. Today, that massive, historic acreage is utilized as a vital training and logistics site for the Ohio National Guard, a quiet, sprawling giant sleeping in the woods. We are on the final stretch now, gliding smoothly along the dark asphalt of State Route 59. The massive, towering trees begin to reclaim the edges of the highway as the dense commercial properties fade away. Look out at the wide, endless Ohio sky above the tree line. We are approaching the eastern boundary of our drive along the highway. As the view settles and the forward momentum comes to an end, take a long, final moment to look out the glass and reflect on the ground you just covered. In the span of 11 minutes, you have witnessed the absolute, relentless evolution of the American Midwest. You have looked out over land that started as a few muddy, freezing log cabins in a dark, terrifying forest. You have driven through a town that fought tooth and nail to become the political center of the county, a town that possessed the meticulous craftsmanship to manufacture the hearses of American presidents. You have traced the routes that shipped enough oatmeal to feed a rapidly expanding nation, and you have passed the foundries that filled playrooms across the globe with cast-iron toys.